Oh, yes, cool. So let's get started. We already have our participants online from Switzerland. So yeah, hello everyone. Welcome to the seventh nexCafé Art Science talk series at Swissnex in Japan, located in the Consulate of Switzerland in Osaka. So my name is Fiammetta. I'm the head of Art Science, and it's a pleasure to have you here, both online. The people from Switzerland and from other parts of the world, they will join. They will see the YouTube um, video, and also thank you for you joining here in person. Felix, do you want to say some words? Yes.
So thank you very much, Fiammetta, and also it's a great pleasure to have you here with us. So a warm welcome here at Swissnex. So here at Swissnex, we connect Japan, Switzerland, and the world in education, research, innovation. So what we do is we bring talents, ideas, knowledge, and the community together. And I think this is one of the bases what we do. So we are extremely fresh, the new kid on the block. So actually, just started 5 months ago here, and so it's a big pleasure to have you with us. And with this, we also have a very interesting content tonight with ArtTech. And really, with this, I would like to give the floor back to Fiammetta, who will guide you through the evening. Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you very much. So I would like to give the words to Natalie from ArtTech Foundation. Hi, Natalie.
Hi, good morning, good evening, also in Japan. So good morning to our online attendees in Switzerland and elsewhere in the world, as you've just said, Fiammetta, so we are also streaming live. So I'm Natalie, I'm the director of the ArtTech Foundation, and I'm speaking from Lausanne, Switzerland. Since 2017, so the ArtTech Foundation has aimed to create and lead an international community coming together around culture, innovation, entrepreneurship. So it was therefore only natural to collaborate with Swissnex in Japan as part of our ArtTech conversation, as we say, so our online discussion. So without transition, let's meet our speakers. And Fiammetta, thank you very much for moderating this next hour, and see you very soon.
Thank you very much, Natalie. So today we will talk about Japan's startup ecosystem in the extended reality and gaming industry with amazing guest speakers from both Switzerland and Japan. Each company will introduce itself, followed by a panel discussion. And at the end of the session, there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions. And for those participating online, please type your questions in the YouTube comment section. So now I will pass the floor to game expert David Javet. Hi, David.
Hiya, thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm David Javet, also speaking to you from Lausanne, in my office at the University of Lausanne. And first of all, my warmest thanks to the organizers. I would have loved to be with you here in Osaka, but yeah, I'll be thinking about you over there. So yeah, thank you for inviting me for this wonderful opportunity to talk about the startups. So let me maybe share my presentation. Are we all right to do this? Is everything all good on your side?
Perfect. Yes, we can see it.
Okay, great. So yeah, I have the first 10 minutes of tonight to present you my insights into the Swiss digital creation landscape and its connection with Japan. So maybe first a few words about me. I'm David Javet. I'm a co-founder of the GameLab UNIL-EPFL here at the University of Lausanne, a gathering of researchers working on video games. I'm also a lecturer on game design at the EPFL, also here in Lausanne. And I'm a game and narrative designer at two different Swiss studios, Momopai and Chegara Games. And I also work to support the Swiss video game industries at the Swiss Game Developer Association. So that's, in short, one of the reasons why I was invited here, sort of give you my my insights. And I was wondering how I should start talking about Swiss startups and their connections with Japan. And I was I was reminded while preparing this presentation that in fact my own portfolio sort of included heavy connections with Japan, since my first officially released video game called Nande Yanen, which I guess people here in Osaka will rely to, was a shoot 'em up heavily inspired by Japanese culture that we released on Xbox 360. And it was in fact exhibited at the Museum of Ethnography here in Switzerland, in Neuchâtel, in an exhibit that was about how the Japanese imagination affects Swiss creators. So yeah, sort of deep connections there. And that's in fact some of the basis of my talk. Fast forward around 8 years, I also worked on a game called Captain Velvet Meteor, just recently released on 2 new platforms, Xbox and PC, but first released in 2022 on Nintendo Switch. That is also a game that is quite a curiosity in a way, because it is a game that uses 8 different IPs, intellectual properties, from Japan, from mangas, from the Shueisha publishers. And it was a game that was created upon receiving the Shonen Jump Plus Awards at an event here in Japan in 2019, the Google Play Indie Games Festival. And this award was given to Momopai. So it's a startup in between Japan and Switzerland. So some of the members are based in Bulle, in the canton de Fribourg, here in Switzerland, but also other members like Rinaldo Wirtz here on the pictures are based in Kyoto. In fact, in between Osaka and Kyoto. So it was a complete collaboration between a huge publisher, Shueisha, who just went into making small games, small indie games, and a Swiss startup, Momopai Studio. And in fact, it is a game that is about a European child, Damien, who moves in Japan with his family, and it's his first day in Japan, and it's mostly about how his imagination, his European imagination, connects with the Japanese landscapes, and his view about his anguishes about moving in Japan. And that's, in a way, I think, is really important to consider when thinking about Swiss digital creation and their link with Japan, is this deep connections with imagination for creators. Here is another example. An exhibit here that we held at the University of Lausanne with 4 digital creators. And among these creators, there was Camille Scherer, who did 2 monumental pieces, a heart, and as you can see, 5 small coins. And these were, it's in a way, it's a comment to our link between the physical and digital world. And these were directly taken from video games, Japanese video games from Nintendo. And this also, of course, starts when we are children, because we are in a way also bathed in these images, icons. Here is a picture. I think it was in 2018, taken at the Numeric Game Festival, so a festival of digital creations and experiences here in Switzerland. And we have here 2 children playing Japanese video game on a huge screen. So that's, in a way, it's also where it starts, right? How it connects us with this imagination. And this goes, of course, much further when we look at the important digital creations that we now have in Switzerland. One of the most important one at the moment is a game from Zurich called The Wandering Village, developed by Strayphone Studios, and it's gathering at the moment, and it's been gathering for the past 2 years, a huge success. Even if it's not officially released, it's still in early access. And this game was quite obviously and directly, I mean, creators talk about it, inspired, at least the visuals, by the Japanese animation movie Nausicaa from the Valley of the Wind, Kaze no Tani no Nausicaa. You can see images on the bottom left of the picture, so you can see how the characters of the game are in fact kind of directly influenced by the characters of the villagers in this movie. And they're also trying to reproduce the ethos of the movie. It's a movie about protecting nature. It's a movie about being in symbiosis with nature. So it's really interesting to see how Swiss success actually also are connecting a lot with this Japanese imagination. And it's not, of course, only about imagination. It's also about business. It's also about sustainability, and it's also about money in a way. So here we have a tweet from 2019 by the then president of Switzerland, who is in fact taking some data some of the data come from the Swiss Game Developer Association about how the video game startup landscape is in fact booming here in Switzerland. It sort of went from around 12 startup in 2009, and it sort of rose to 120 startups in 2019. So things are looking rather positive here in Switzerland, at least in terms of video games. And the government is also taking notice of this shift. This can be seen, I think, very well in a very interesting project. That was one of the first sort of success from the new generation of creators, digital content creators here in Switzerland. Shaban Sham from Geneva, who was a pioneer in a lot of things, but he did first a trading card game on smartphones and then on Facebook, called Munga. And in 2010, this game reached the top position in the app stores, in the Japanese app store, and that's what is interesting, in the Japanese app store, in the role-playing game category. So that's sort of allowed him, his success in Japan specifically, allowed him not only to sort of sustain his startup, Everdream Soft, and also create his second game called Spells of Genesis that you have at the bottom here, bottom right. That was in fact a pioneer in the blockchain technology, because it is the first, or at least one of the first video game that uses the blockchain technology, really before the NFTs and such became sort of a buzzword lately. And another example to finish also, we have in Zurich, this time in the Swiss German speaking area, DD Robotech, partnering or even establishing a Japanese team for their sport game or exert game. So it's a video game that is a lot about physical exercise, but also body movement, corrections, and that can be used by physical trainers, but also for children and such. So their game Ballwin, and this is their exert gaming system, is already implemented also in Japan. And they are working specifically with Japan. I mean, if you look at their website, it is a Swiss team and a Japan team. So there's also deep connections. I mean, creators are really exploring connections with the Japanese landscape, also because there are common grounds in terms of ethics and needs and interests. And I think really propositions such as these that are all about health, safety, but also well-being, I think really have the power to connect with the Japanese audience and power up everything we are doing here in the startup ecosystem in Switzerland. So that's it for my 10 minutes. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I'm really looking forward to hear everything our panel has to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. That was really interesting also to know about these many different like Swiss gamers, gaming designers, and also the last example was really interesting. Maybe we could even invite them to Japan. Would be maybe for another event. Would be nice to have them here. So now I would like to get started with our panel discussion with the speakers. So on the floor we have Dwayne Grech, co-founder and CEO of Hello xLAB, an award-winning extended reality design company based in Osaka. So here. And then we have Farid Benamor on the right side, a media entrepreneur who developed the app Similumis, a real-time rendered life-like 3D world, together with Stefan from Koto 3D, who is sitting in the audience. Hello. Yeah, and then in the middle we have Dan Stern, co-founder and head of operations for DANGEN Entertainment, a multilingual publishing team based primarily in Osaka. And online, joining Mélodie Mousset, co-founder and creative director behind PatchXR, a virtual reality creative platform. Okay, and yes, so Dwayne, I would like to start with you. So first, I will. So your presentation. Thank you very much. Would you like to say some, maybe you could introduce yourself a little bit and then I would like to ask you some questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again for this opportunity. I appreciate it. And thank you for everybody who's joining us. Hi, my name is Dwayne Grech. I'm a Canadian living here in Japan now coming up 4 years. So I am the co-founder and CEO of Hello xLAB KK. I'm traditionally a designer, nearly 2 decades in the digital design and advertising space, and eventually getting into experiential. I'm a child of the 80s, so I've been inspired by classic anime, Akira's Robotech's, Ghost in the Shell, Nintendo and Sega. So a lot of my childhood is manifested in the work that I do today. And a lot of that is taking the digital two-dimensional and how do we apply that to the 3D and the 4D. And so I have great opportunity here in Japan and specifically in Osaka to kind of explore how do we transform physical spaces using digital storytelling and content, and how do we basically create holodecks of the future and democratize that. So that's a bit about me right now. Yeah.
Can you maybe share your experience of establishing your presence here in Japan or in the Japanese market?
Yeah. So we've been active now 3 years. It's actually was fairly painless once we actually settled down. But I mean, some of the challenges we did face was COVID. It was timing, and it was fundraising. COVID, I think, just hurt everybody in every industry. So I think that's what brought everybody equally together. We all kind of equally suffered. Specifically in marketing side of things, when a primary point of my business is physical activations, public interaction, right? People being close proximity to each other, touching physical objects. Those are already cut out. So that was already the bulk of my business. So that forced me to pivot into taking what I already brought with me to Japan and how do I make my time here worth it? You know, every issue becomes an opportunity. But then came the timing problem. I'm a new company. I'm the new kid in Osaka. So portfolio aside, I was not trusted enough. So I had to really sort of spend my time building up the social equity of getting, people know who I am, the value I bring to companies, to other people, and to the community itself. So this allowed me to slowly engage in events like this as COVID was slowly becoming behind us, that we can have these kinds of opportunities where I could promote myself and my company. And there allowed us to then develop really what was a service company into a platform. And that there opened up more opportunities, not just in Japan, but globally. Then comes the final challenge, fundraising. You can only do so much as a startup, bootstrapping. And so Japan's, slow pace and risk aversion made it very, very tough to find money. And I guess my colleagues here on the panel probably know this kind of pain, probably people in the audience as well. It's been tough. We're getting better at it, but those are the challenges so far, but we're persevering. It's all about resilience. Thank you.
Just a question. So why did you come to Japan initially? What was the main reason?
So prior to Japan, I was living in Las Vegas for 4 years, working with the ad agency, the R&R partners that handled the Las Vegas Tourism Board. So the bulk of my business was trying to create Vegas experiences abroad and using technology and storytelling. So that's sort of the DNA of Hello xLAB. COVID hit, and and post-Trump era, as a Canadian living in the U.S. under visa, I knew that COVID was going to impact my work and the family life. My wife's Japanese, so we decided to take a chance and go and try something new. Especially raising a young daughter, I wanted her to be in a place that was sort of safer, closer to her extended family, and just a change of pace. And maybe that would be a good creative challenge for me, seeing that I've always wanted to come to Japan. So a problem presents an opportunity. So say yes to it and see what happens. So 3 years now.
Okay, thank you very much. We will also give the opportunity to the audience to ask questions, and we will also come back to you. Thank you very much. So now I would like to continue with Farid. Would you like to come here for the presentation? Yeah. Okay. So I have this, by the way, we have different camera settings in case you are wondering why I'm always doing this. It's for the audience from YouTube. Yeah. So, by the way, you can also after the event you will see this whole event, the presentations on YouTube, so it will be accessible.
Thank you. I'm Farid. I'm presenting our platform, which is currently in development, called Simulumis. So imagine a world where we can have a fully 3D copy of Earth. You don't have to imagine too hard. You probably use one quite frequently in your pocket. Google Maps, which has Google Street View, which has become almost a necessity in our daily lives, right? But the issue with Google Street View is that it only appears where cars can go. And it uses an old technology, which is not that accurate. At least Google Earth incorporates it. And we'll see some of that in the slides coming up, or the video coming up soon. So here, this is actually Google Earth, and you can see this old technology called photogrammetry. And we're zooming in, and you can see how it's really low fidelity when we get closer and closer. Here at the center, myself and my wife and my business partner, Stefan. And this is a scan which is made with our new technology using Gaussian transformations and scanned using ordinary cell phones, so your cell phone camera. You can see how much more high quality it is, and the process is also quite rapid to be able to create 3D scans of real locations. We want to incentivize making a fully user-generated content platform of a 3D copy of Earth so that everyone can use it. And that's just not just streets, that's interiors, that's exteriors where cars can't go, where Google Street View cannot go. And you can imagine the possibilities of having a fully 3D copy of Earth. And this is what we endeavored to create with Simu-Lumis. So one of the real benefits of building this company in Japan is that we can recreate locations that are incredibly interesting to many people all over the world, because many people, of course, have the desire to visit Japan. It's a huge tourism destination. And we've just created some samples here so you can get an idea of the kind of locations and people and objects we can recreate. So I think the video will close just in a second with a shot of the upcoming Hanami period, the Sakura cherry blossoms. So we can move forward for now.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Just the last few seconds. This is the cherry blossoms I was mentioning. A preview of the next few weeks.
Very nice. Thank you very much. When do you say, is the app available?
So we're still developing our prototype right now, and we're fundraising to be able to launch this hopefully in the next year. But it's quite a long-term project because we're not building just a narrow narrative experience. We're building something that hopefully will take over the whole world and provide a new platform that people everywhere can use all around the world.
Yeah, amazing. I think you already mentioned it, but again, I want to ask the question, what is your success story here in Japan? And also the challenge, if you want to
Sure,
add.
sure.
Yes.
So the success stories are being able to access these incredible locations. The challenges actually are very much in and out. What Dwayne was mentioning, two things. Fundraising, it's very difficult here. I won't talk too much to that here because now we're basically candidly abandoned fundraising in Japan and are fundraising globally instead, having already raised funds successfully in Singapore, the UK, Switzerland, where I was living the last 4 years before moving to Kyoto 3 years ago, and the US, which is where I'm originally from. The other challenge, which I want to speak more to instead, because I don't have much positive to say about fundraising in Japan, is the trust issue. Japan is a highly relational atmosphere, business atmosphere, as many of you, I'm sure, know. This is not news. But what's really nice as a budding startup and especially in Kyoto, Osaka, Kansai, is it's a very small community. So we are building through our networks connections to people that would be, I think, much harder to build in a larger context, such as Tokyo, even, or of course, another major city somewhere else. So that gives us the ability to have the potential to have some early business clients. And we are already speaking with the owners of local train systems to have their trains potential and their railways digitized in 3D, as well as tourism agencies in the region, and traditional Japanese handcraft manufacturers. So using these potential early business clients will help us prove out the concept, prove out the technology, and in turn help us raise funding in the long term for the direct-to-consumer platform. So that's a real benefit of being in Kyoto and Osaka, the broader Kansai region.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. So last Dan Stern. Also, would you like to come here for the presentation or?
Yes,
Yeah, it's good.
please, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Use this if you want. Yeah.
Perfect. And with DANGEN Entertainment, the TLDR is that we publish games. I'll first introduce myself. My name is Dan Stern. I'm DANGEN COO. We're indie though, so constantly changing hats. I work closely with Max on finances, on business strategy. I handle our business development. Sometimes I'm changing hats. I join all of our marketing meetings. I love the creativity involved in marketing. I give massive amounts of feedback to over 1,000 games a year that are pitched to us. So it's broad reaching. I've been in Japan for 17 years, and I've been publishing games for 10 years. Like I said, I review about 1,000 pitches a year, which it's as much as it sounds like it is. It's a huge number, and I don't want that to be a very impersonal experience for developers that are pitching us their dream work. This is very important to them, and I don't give a standard template. I don't have a standard template email for this. I handwrite every single one of them, and I give very specific feedback. It means a lot to me to provide that to developers. I am absolutely crazy about Bloodborne. I've been through it too many times, and I do role play runs now. I have a James Joyce character. It's really fun. And I've been fortunate to work on many excellent projects. Some of these you may know. I signed the Japanese publishing deal for Hyper Light Drifter, for Valhalla, at my previous company, and at DANGEN, we're working with excellent developers, folks like Bomb Service on Minoria, or Radical Fish for Crosscode, Moonsprout Games. They made Bug Fables, and I'm very proud to be attached to these projects. But what is DANGEN? DANGEN is authentically indie. We are self-owned and operated, which I think is rather uncommon these days in the indie space. Indie publishing is often defined by what are the games that they're publishing, and nobody knows what indie means anymore. But I think one important aspect of it is your own self-reliance, your independence, and the ability to have the developers have the creative control, and they own the IPs with us, which is very important to me. We're here to facilitate, to support development, not to tell developers how to do things or, it's a conversation. It's not, we're not like dictating, hey, this is the right way to do stuff. But we have all this experience. We've been through many releases. Most developers release one game every few years on the fast end, maybe once every 2 years. But some of the developers we work with are, maybe releasing one game per 5 years or even more. So we're here to make suggestions, but they're the ones making the approvals. We publish worldwide. We provide funding to our projects. We localize in 12 plus languages. It depends on the project, and that's where some of those suggestions come from. We do porting and QA, marketing, platform management, and product management. Our primary SKUs are PC and consoles, leading with Steam, PS5, Switch, and Xbox. Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much. Then I would like to ask you some questions now. What strategies did you employ to build partnerships in Japan?
So first and foremost was that we already had many of the contacts that we needed. Starting a publisher, there are two angles that are most important. First is, of course, product. You have to have connections with developers and know what games you're going to be releasing. The second is the pipeline to be able to release them. So we needed the relationships with Steam, with Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation. So having those already, because we were experienced in publishing and localization from the get-go, gave us a clear pipeline towards releasing products. But the biggest challenge was really just having games that would come out soon enough. Much to Dwayne's point, we didn't, there's not a lot of government funding going around in Japan for the arts. Culturally, that's not much of a thing, and so we were relying on our own runway in the start. It's the typical startup story of like not pulling in a salary and everybody's got their own. Or you have all. It's not just the company runway; it's individual runways too for members. How long can everybody keep paying their bills and still maintain a stable lifestyle? And a common timeline for a lot of startups is 2 years. We needed to release games and establish cash flow early enough that we could remain healthy financially. And it was honestly, it was quite difficult a couple of times there, but right around the 2-year mark, we had the releases and the cash flow established, and we were seeing success, and we've managed to pull through and find like profitability ever since then.
Can you discuss any unique aspects of the Japanese gaming ecosystem that you encountered?
Yeah, so some of these come back to Farid and Dwayne's points too. Japan is, relationships are very, very tight, and so if somebody establishes a partnership, they often stay with those partners for a long period of time. We started in 2017, but by that point, the Steam publishing market and that was already mature, and finding games to publish in Japan was already a challenge because many of the teams had already established relationships, and from those, they're still working with their partners, or maybe they had a bad experience and now they want to self-publish. There are other cultural aspects. I found, there's often some pride as well in Japanese development circles. So that's where some of, I think, the self-publishing comes from. And I think it's the difficulty is finding like, where, who can you work with within Japan if that's what you're trying to do. And I think we started off looking at those opportunities, but I think we pivoted quickly and found success by leaning on our experience being based in Japan, but being a Western team of people that can all speak English and Japanese. We were able to find angles like releasing games in Japan, for example, like Crosscode was a big one for us that brought in revenue early. And these days, while we're focusing on worldwide opportunities, the ability to lean on that angle of Japanese releases gave us opportunities that we otherwise wouldn't have had. They already had a Western publisher; there was no other opportunity there. But establishing cash flow was very important, and it gave us excellent games to work on and cut our teeth, get experience in our own workflows and developing our own processes. And so we were able to grow through those so that we can better service larger scale projects working worldwide, where we have at that point begun to fund projects and we have more skin in the game.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we will have our last speaker from online, joining online, Mélodie. I would like to first show your presentation. Thank you very much for sharing. Perfect.
Yes. Hi. So my name is Mélodie Mousset, and I'm the creative director and co-founder of PatchXR. So PatchXR is a young company. I mean, fairly young. We're still alive after 2 years in corporation. So I guess, yes, we survived the 2 year steps for a startup. So we incorporated PatchXR in Zurich in 2020, at the end of 2020, with a project Patch World, which was financed originally by Meta, to release on their Quest store. And Patch World is a sandbox mixing sound technology, music technology, and sandbox game in mixed reality. Yeah, so I'm the co-founder, and we are 3 co-founder actually. It's me who come from the art background, so I'm originally an artist. So I'm not a business person, nor a game designer, nor a music tech person. I really come from the contemporary art world, and I fell into VR in 2012 as a kind of an accident because I was making more sculpture and stuff like this before. My co-founder and I fell in love with XR technology when I discovered this medium, because it enabled basically a mix of different perception and sensation and emotion. So it was sort of a total art, which was extremely, interesting for me to bring experience to audiences. My co-founder, Eduardo, come from more the music and gaming background, but also an artist. And he was also working with VR since very early, since 2012, building a sandbox for music. And I was building, as an artist, a sandbox for art. So when we met in a gaming conference in Malmö, we kind of fell in love with each other's vision of art, sandbox, and music together. Yeah, so that's how Patchwork was born. Yeah, you can change the slide. So today, what happened is that we see a big shift in the digital entertainment, thanks to game engine that have been even more powerful. We see now the most successful apps are UGC driven, multiplayer, and spatial, like TikTok, Fortnite, Roblox, like all these user-generated content platforms. But what we noticed that music has not really is a bit late and a bit lagging behind on these new trends. You can change the slide, please. It's lagging behind, but there is a huge opportunity for music to be also in this new paradigm, because music indeed is not flat, is not made to be played on flat screen, although it has democratized music immensely to have all this application for a laptop. I mean, music is a physical experience. Sound is also a physical things. Playing an instrument is something you do with your body. It's also highly social. It's an experiential that you share with others. But music is also complicated. So complicated to learn and complicated. There's a high technical entry to start making music. So we thought like the technology was not there yet to bring music to this new paradigm. So that's why we created Patchworld. So you can change the slide, please. So Patchworld is a spatial no-code platform to create and experience music in virtual world together. So it's you are immersed in musical world that are rich and interactive. The way you create music in Patchworld, I mean, it's really extended music. So when I say music, it's also world building, it's also art, it's a very new way of thinking music. It's visual music, let's say, in 3 dimension. We created our own engine, which is a no-code engine, so it's much more accessible. You can start creating music and musical world and virtual world without being a developer or necessarily a musician. And learning curve is much easier because it's also fun and very, that's the interactive part and the gamified part of our engine makes it much more accessible, and it's social. So it's a multiplayer, real time, so audiences can connect with performers. Performers can connect together to collaborate, to jam together, jam session. And yeah, you can change the slide, please. That's a little video.
Yeah, let's make some music. Players and makers create and connect. Who's this? It's the Patch World people. Hey, we're in the Patch World app, where creativity, design, and playfulness overlap. Playstock world made by the team. Story mode to explore the app's main theme. Careful, young patcher, as you might slip into creating your own logic and powerful synths. Here I take a jolt connected to a machine. It picks up changes, reflecting the whole scene. It's not just one thing, yo. Express yourself. Join us on Patch for the next big play.
Hi, so this is Patch World. We released our first version on the MetaQuest store in July 2022. And since then, we've expanded to other VR platforms. We're on the HTC platform, we're on the Pico platform, and now we're actually developing the desktop version that will be released on Steam very soon. So since we released, we got 4.8 rating by our users. So we have really a very engaged community. It's still very niche, but yeah, our users are very into patching, and they spend a lot of time and give us a lot of amazing feedback. You can also switch the slide, please. Yes, this is the community. So they're extremely creative. We see a new form of art emerging from this tool that we've created, which is what I was talking about, this mix of gaming, building devices, because you can build instruments, you can build world, you can patch, any interactive effect, mixing sound and visual. It's completely open. And the idea is really this openness that you can find in node-based programming, but in 3D. So yeah, the amazing amount of new assets has been generated by the community. And since we released the multiplayer, maybe a bit less than a year ago, we've seen like the app engagement has been growing. Right now we have about 4,000 monthly active users, and yeah, it's growing fast. Can you please? Yes. We've been lucky to, so we are a young startup from Switzerland, but we've been gaining recognition and praise by the industry worldwide. Well, not so much in Japan yet, but the VR industry is mainly now dominated by the US. So yeah, we've kind of focused on the US. 60% of our users are in the US. I should have looked at the numbers of how many people in Japan are using our app. I didn't think about it until now. But we have a couple. We don't hear so much about them on Discord. I know I've seen a couple of hello, I'm from Japan, but yeah, they're not very active on the Discord. But yeah, here you can see we've been recognized from tech industry, music tech industry, VR industry, as one of the most innovative VR AR company. Our partners, like we've been partnering with the main the leader in the XR field. Please, can you switch the slide? Yeah. So just a bit about the software. So we started with the VR first, because it's very important, the spatial and the 3D gestural aspect of music. And we're starting with VR, now we're expanding with desktop, and then we go to mobile. Right now it's a one-time purchases, but the idea is to go into a full user-generated content economy marketplace, where user can exchange and remix each other's work and monetize from ticketing, selling their virtual assets and everything. So right now we're expanding on that. that was a bit about the roadmap. And the last slide, one of the last slides. Yeah, so just PatchXR maybe before. The slide before. I mean, this is just a vision. So we start, basically, we have a really big vision for Patch World. We start with music technology, and it's a very niche market right now. VR is already a niche market, but music in VR is even smaller. But since we're really figuring out this UI, UX, and community-driven mechanics in VR, we think in the future we'll be expanding on all media and be like the go-to platform for creativity in the metaverse. So this is Patch World. We had an experience in Japan. We were invited to showcase Patch World at the Tokyo Game Show. So you can switch like 2 slides after. Yeah, I added a little picture from us at the Tokyo Game Show after. Ah, you copied my slide.
Yeah.
Okay, so you didn't use the. Okay, I did some stuff on the. Well, okay, it doesn't matter. I had some picture and some video from Tokyo Game Show of us showing and playing music, and kind of the audience also playing music during the conference. It was because for us.
Share the pictures? Sorry, do you want to share the pictures via Zoom?
Nah, I
It's
could,
okay.
but I don't know. I mean, it's whatever. It's just like, being silly and, us making music at the fair. It was very fun. I mean, it made a lot of sense for us to be in Japan because, of course, in terms of music technology, Japanese market is one of the biggest one with the biggest like instrument manufacturer, and Sony and Korg, and I mean, yeah, Roland. I mean, all this musical gear, and then this very strong gaming market as well. So it made sense for us to enter this market. Of course, I have not much to share because we were only there for very little time, and we were not able to make any of this connection in this little time or meet any of the partners. And then, of course, we have financial limitations. So we met some partners. The idea was kind of working with a few people, like musician producers that are involved in the music scene in Tokyo, and through them start gathering a community of Japanese creators and clubs. But then with the little finance we had, we just kept this project for later. So it's still an open. Yes, it hasn't happened yet, but
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
it.
mean, thank you. I hope there will be also another opportunity in the future for you to come again to Japan, also to
Yes,
establish
definitely.
collaborations.
Yeah, we really made some very great contact with producers, and as soon as it makes sense for the development of the product, we'd love to, have this representative and start, because we're a community first kind of app. Like I think the main point is really to get the app in the hand of people that will use it, and just let grow a little cluster of creators that will make their own patchwork version with the Japanese culture, music scene, and very organic. It needs to grow in this organic way, in our opinion.
Yes.
But the VR, I mean, what we've noticed though is that people really don't have that much headsets, or at least when we were there, it seemed like even more niche than in Europe.
Okay, I see.
Maybe.
Yes, I understand. Well, yeah. Thank you. Um, so I would like to pass now the floor to the audience. If you have questions, please raise your hand. Alice in the back will give you the microphone.
I was curious about international copywriting as far as your programs and your work is concerned. Have you had any difficulty in Japan in initiating international copyrights? That's one question I had. Another that I had, how do you weed out plagiarism? I mean, you receive so many games, and there has to be some similarities between one game and another. And how do you differentiate between somebody who's copying or part copying of someone else's program? And on the third point, what plans do you have for the 2025 Expo? Do you have any plans for demonstrating your programs and your work? Anybody want to start?
Excuse me. Yes, I could speak to some of those. For the first part, we use an American law firm to establish the copyright that we needed to. But these days, because we work with developers and the developers retain their own IP ownership, that's really, I guess, a question for them. They register their own trademarks and copyrights. We help them to enforce those if they need to, but that's very rare. There's one for whatever reason it is. There's one game that we have called Dungeon Drafters, where somebody out there keeps making they borrow all of our assets from Steam, and then they rename the game and make a new logo, and then they provide a free download for malware, and we have to squash their website every once in a while. So that means reaching out to their web provider and then getting them to take it down. It's pretty painless. It's quite easy, but we have to notice it first. On the plagiarism side, what I find is very common is I would say just not enough creativity and design. Once there's a popular game, then we get dozens of pitches for a similar genre. But my understanding of game design is that you cannot copyright system concepts, shared things that are like basic building blocks for game design, largely. And so as long as your assets and your IP, those things are more firmly established and easier to protect. So I don't see a lot of direct plagiarism and obvious usage of somebody else's assets, but I do see frequently, this kind of Vampire Survivors or a robot Vampire Survivors or a Vampire Survivors that actually has vampires in it. So there's quite a lot of that. I'm starting already to get Pal World similar style pitches. I'm a huge Helldivers fan, so I'm looking forward to when we start getting those. That'll be interesting. But I think that on the design side, that's just kind of artistic integrity is very important to me. I think I have a unique position between being business minded, which is not my background. I was an English major, and loving art. And I think that within publishers, that's maybe not that common. Some publishers are very art focused, and some publishers are very business focused. But it's important to me that artists are expressing what they want to, that they're making games that mean something to them, and that they're growing as artists. When we work with a developer, I'm not like, hey, please make a sequel to this thing. If that's what they want to do, great. If they want to make something brand new and explore new areas of game design or visual styles, that's great too. I always encourage that kind of thing. So yeah, that kind of, in Japanese we use the word pakkuri, and I'm not a big fan of that.
Addressing the third part of the question, for the Osaka Expo, we are speaking with some countries who are having pavilions here, working on their virtual pavilion to help do 3D scans of their natural monuments, which obviously they can't really bring to Japan or recreate here. So enabling people, not just in Japan or in Osaka, to see the Swiss Alps, for example, or the Grand Canyon in the US, but experienced it using AR or VR technologies. AR meaning mobile devices where you can physically look around, virtual reality headsets, and with our 3D scanning technology, it's made it quite easy to scan those just using users who are not experts in this technology. We start using just their cell phones. So that makes it a lot easier for us. So yeah.
Thank you. Great questions. The first part, our immersive display platform is still in early stages. Our hope is we want to gauge popular IPs, Nintendo, Sega, Sony, and whatnot, and even like animation and film IPs to expand on familiar elements in the virtual spaces, but transforming our physical space with them. There lies their control of the IP. Who's creating that, and who's the ownership, and how is monetization happening there? So, it's that relationship there. How do we access those nostalgic moments in those spaces for the general public there? So that's sort of like a flip side of developing those partnerships there and working within their comfort zone of the IP spectrum. But then there's also the community, those who are inspired by Studio Ghibli films, right? So like where do you draw the line of what's Creative Commons and what's going to have a lawyer knock on your door, right? So these are things that we're yet to explore. So to answer the second question, we'll wait and see. But for the third one, like Fareed, we're also working with a number of different pavilions to bring their respective countries to Japan, but instead of VR and AR, we're using projection mapping and LED walls. So we're physically bringing those spaces in, not only just pavilions, but we're also exploring the performative aspect of immersive spaces for side events. So in between your common pavilion schedules, there are going to be these theme weeks, and they're very specific for like space and greenery and the oceans and whatnot. And there's going to be a lot of mixed performances both on Umeshima and around Osaka. And so we're working on right now with different groups, the private and public sectors, to see how our technology can go and elevate those experiences.
Okay, thank you very much, Dwayne. Yes?
Thanks very much for the excellent presentations. And one question I would have, and not to be the first one to throw in this, but artificial intelligence and all this language processing programs that are having, I mean, especially I'm in research industry, and it's having, and people are using it. It's sort of a multiplicator of creativity, and a very potent tool that can be misused massively, and it's having a lot of problems. I guess now you have 1,000 pitches, maybe you'll get 10,000 next year. I mean, are you feeling an impact? Is it having a...
It did. So first of all, excellent question. Kind of hard not to talk about AI this year. I received a pitch the other day where I felt that the logical connections between disparate elements of the game design did not make a lot of sense to me. And I know that a person could do that, and that might happen, and especially with inexperienced developers or artists who just tying things together thematically is very difficult and can often make the difference between like a fine game and something really truly beautiful. I couldn't tell if a person made that or if it had been AI. It had like a very dark aesthetic at first, and I was thinking, wow, this is like Insanely Twisted Shadow Planet meets like Nova Drift. And sorry for the very specific game references, but it's like a very dark aesthetic. And then out of nowhere, while I'm watching the trailer, first of all, the trailer music was like Jack Johnson, kind of like guitar, and then somehow like this cat girls popped up in the kind of like in the middle with like visual novel style dialogue, and it was very confusing. And I do think that we'll get games that are made by AI and like not just assets, but maybe like their code is like mostly built by AI, which is kind of scary to me. We do a lot of porting, and so If something is kind of barely like held together in the code, that's kind of frightening for us, where we have to work intimately with it to get onto new platforms. I think one big question that kind of like arises out of yours is that how can, as a publisher, how can we benefit from AI, but by doing so like morally, without you know without making that some excuse to do like layoffs or something like that. We have never laid anybody off in our company, and there are great benefits in AI, but I don't see it as an excuse to reduce human labor. The work that we do in localization is highly artistic, and it's important that we retain that integrity. But I can see AI tools being helpful for spotting like some kind of like other errors, or potential opportunities for like to explore different ways to write scenes or something. There's got to be like, it can be used as tools, I think, and not as replacements for people. And I can see that for um, I think applying that philosophy for like various aspects of publishing uh, could increase efficiency, could increase like the efficacy of our work. But I think it's up to us to employ those things without endangering our own livelihoods.
Yeah, excellent question. For us, I mean, our company, we're inspired by the Star Trek holodeck, where is the most democratized way of, you know, turning matter into, or turning light into matter instantly. You know, being able to walk into a void and just say, "Computer, load the Egyptian pyramids," and there it is, right? I mean, that's the ultimate goal of that, the access to experiences that we all want. We're not there yet. We see the democratization of 3D design, both in like Unreal Engine and Unity and Godot, for example, there makes it easy for anybody to pick up the tools, and being able to access free learning tools means that you can go from 0 to 100 in less time. You know, when you even need a degree anymore. What I see AI doing as a means of, you know, making that system faster. I think we're many, many, many years away from even getting that kind of fidelity that an artisan in environmental design can do and has studied over a long period of time. So I'm not worried about that. That doesn't mean we're not thinking about it, because we know that's the inevitable, right? The way that everything is evolving, before you know it's on our doorstep. What I do see AI is being the co-pilot to give agency to anybody, to say, yeah, I'm going to go and actually take my thoughts and articulate it in a visual sense there, as a tool to maximize that time there and really sort of be expressionate. But eventually we have to think about, you know, people being able to type it away and then have real four-dimensional real-time environments. Like it's common. It's all about, you know, who's going to benefit from it and how are we going to utilize it for good, you know. But then, you know, the other aspect is that right now we're in this time period of bad actors versus, you know, quality. So it's a lot of quantity over quality. I don't know if everybody heard about the Willy Wonka experience, and that's an example of AI being used for bad, right? That's exploitation there. It gives our industry a really, really bad name. It makes trust very, very hard to come by. We're already very nuanced and very misunderstood by the general public. Incidents like that makes the situation less approachable. It just makes our jobs a lot harder. But that said, it just means that the tools are there. Now, the right people that can harness it the right way are going to be the leaders that are going to set the trends going forward. That's my thoughts on it.
I just want to offer a quick contrarian point of view. I don't believe in the power of generative AI at all. I don't see it as a possibility. Has anyone here played that game that was generated by AI? It's an endless game. It's 2D side scroller. I can't remember the name of it right now. It's really, really fucking boring. It gets boring really fast. And I think that's just because AI will only take the data out there and reduce it and remix it in other in ways, in new ways. Some of those ways are useful, very useful. In fact, you know, I kind of use them as well in different ways for like grant applications, those kinds of things. But yeah, exactly. But you need source data, and that's why I think our app, especially Simulimis, we're developing ways for people to more easily contribute the original source data that AI needs to function off of. So the more we can provide imagery of the whole world, the more we'll be able to do with AI in the long run. But it will always need someone, of course, controlling it.
Thank you very much. Before giving the words to the audience again, I would like to come back to David Javet because he soon needs to leave. I would like to hear with your comments about the presentations and the discussion now that we did.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, if you get the chance, I would also love to hear what Mélodie has to say about AI with her work. But yeah, maybe let me say just a quick few words about the discussion. Thank you very much for all these wonderful exchanges. I mean, as always, during these sessions about technology that we think are going to be about technology, I'm always reminded about how, in fact, it is about about us human. It is about relationships. It is about hardships. It is about family. It is about how we use technology to try to connect with each other. And really, this is sort of the thing that sort of, at least for me in the presentation, this sort of appeared to me as quite obvious. It's coming to Japan not only because for business reasons, but it's also there's emotional connections or things you want to explore as a human. So I think this is about thinking how to use connection to bridge the gap. And yeah, this is really something that appeared to me as obvious. And this is also really important for me because I do think that the language we're in sort of playing with here are the language of platforms and systems. And I think that in the future, these will be, and these already are, extremely important for us as humans to think about how we interconnect, how we make society, how we exchange together. And really, the main tools of a game designer or a digital content is creating systems, right? It's using constraints to find ways to connect us. And I do think that these spaces are really important spaces to explore, to experiment about new ways to create systems and try to find ways to solve some of our current problems, systemic problems in the real world. So really, thank you very much for all these exchanges and discussions.
Thank you very much. You were mentioning Mélodie. Mélodie, do you want to maybe add something about AI or the discussion we had?
Yeah, I mean, for us, AI has been a very great, generative AI has been a great thing for our community because they can, generate a 360 world that they bring in the world. It doesn't have any IP rights neither, so they just can bring all these assets to their own world, and it's really helpful to get like more rich environments and objects and animation. I mean, it's I know our community is using a lot of these AI generated things, and they're extremely creative. Like they're, it's not that it's replacing their creativity or anything. It's actually comes and gives them more material to play with, and we found that quite amazing. And personally, we are also developing some AI system together with the Queen Mary University to find ways I mean, not simplify, but generate smart virtual friends to play with. Like how you would have somebody who plays with you or help you improve your skills or facilitate the creation process, because of course we see that all like part of the evolution of this new digital tools is the very, very easy easy ways to do, like TikTok, Instagram, like everything makes it very easy. And although we're a local platform, we are far away from just making an Insta post or something like this. There is still a learning curve, so AI is definitely going to help us make this more accessible and flow more flawless, flowy, whatever. So yeah, we have an optimistic view on all that for the moment. At least from the creator perspective, I don't see as a threat yet, or at least in the current stage of things.
Yes, I also think it should be used as a useful tool and not something that to replace something or someone. But yeah, this is AI. This topic will be maybe another event because it's a very big topic in all the fields. Yeah, as you might know. Yeah. So is there another question? Yes. So sorry. So this will be the last question because we are really running out of time.
Sorry, last question, yes. Thank you for presenting your work. My question would be related to this event or Kansai. I was curious if you had the opportunity to have any, new relationship, like meeting engineers, meeting investors, meeting companies. Who would you like to meet? Like, what is the preferred relationship that you would like to meet in like the next hour, in the next days?
That's actually a great last question there. Jesus, I would say, yeah, fundraiser, of course. Jesus. Grant us a miracle. Let's close our seed round there. Money. We've been pretty lucky in Kansai meeting, engineers and talents. But as Fareed and Dan would probably let on that, yeah, funding is terrible out here, and that's sort of the thing that we're missing, and that's not attracting enough people out here. So it's sort of a bigger problem. So I would love to see more angels and CVCs attending these events and being really proactive and curious about what we're doing and taking a chance on gaming and XR companies. Yeah. But hey, everybody here, thank you for coming. I want to meet you all.
I guess typically a publisher wants to meet the platforms and they want to meet developers. And there's not a specific team that I'm trying to meet, but you know, you have to cast a wide net as a publisher and meet as many people to find like those dream matches to discover something that you didn't know you were looking for. So I guess long and short, it would be developers, really.
Nintendo. That's the short answer. Um, Original world builders, right? For me, I was also brought up in the 80s with Nintendo. That's
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, Natalie. So, would you like to say some words, please?
Thank you very much. So I think that it's time close and it's time to go, unfortunately. And we would really love to be with you for the apéro, the Swiss apéro. But many, many thanks to all our speakers. So it was really very interesting. And I think that you all bring a lot of things to the ecosystem we'd like as organizations to support also. And many thank you also to the audience in Osaka, but also online. As we already told you, this is streaming live, so we need afterwards to send you a link so that you can see the replay, and we'll also communicate on our respective social media. So once again, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot to all the team in Japan at Swissnex Japan. You were very collaborative with us. We know that it was not so easy with the technical issues, and it was really very nice for us, ArtTech Foundations, to collaborate with Swissnex Japan. So now it's time to say goodbye and to let you, David, go to study and to have your students learn with you. So bye-bye and have a nice evening and have a nice day for the people in Switzerland and in Europe. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank
Have a
you.
good apéro.
Bye-bye.
So, thank you, Natalie, David, and Melody. Thanks so much. Well, yes, thank you very much. We will have a networking reception now with food and drinks over there. And also, we have a small demonstration surprise this evening. Yes, maybe in, let's say, 10, 15 minutes. Yes, you can already have now an introduction. And then maybe you can do the demonstration during the event. Like, we want to have drinks first. So. Yeah. Sorry. Sorry. I don't know, please. Or do you want just to introduce or just quick?
So thank you very much. You reach out to me. I'm Aaron. My company is Steampunk Digital. We're in Fukuoka, and I unfortunately didn't get my email out to you in time, but thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. Yes, sorry.
We've been hanging out in the back for the past few days. Our team here, Dennis and Laurie, have been here to like kind of collab and trying to figure out like all of our systems. So with that, I'd like to just kind of like quickly show off a little piece of demo, and I think you might be interested in it. We should probably talk.
Okay, let's do it now. It's good.
Do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Sorry.
Stand safely.
Yes. Yes, of course.
So,
yeah.
Thank you. Oh, sure. Oh yeah, you can like hang out and yeah. So, let's see if this actually works here. Yeah. Right. So, driving it from an iPhone, right? Like this is the state of the art. We can do presentations on the go. Right. We do 3D scanning tech. We should talk. And holographic communications. Our team is spread over Japan and Canada. So Fukuoka, Osaka, Tokyo, and Vancouver, Canada. And so here today, me, Dennis, and Laurie. And we did this kind of fun thing. Okay, we're at Swissnex Japan, and we are scanning something here today. Is this the real one? Or is that the real one? Oh, I gave it away. So yeah, this is our new software called Monocle Prime. You can use this on an iPhone to do 3D scanning and capture of the photometric data, and generate a 3D model. And yes, you can scan that with your phone. Whip out your phones. Go ahead, scan that barcode. So all of you with iPhones, we're targeting iPhone right now because of the way that the cameras are very well calibrated. This is our target right now. Oh, sorry. And we're looking for beta testers. So of those folks with iPhones, we would love your feedback. We're testing the software. So if you can hop on to steampunk.digital and sign up, we would love your feedback. Thank you very much. I'll put that back up there. All right, thanks, guys. Any questions? What's the time from scanning to like a finished processed scan?